Good evening, Com 110 students. This is Derek Melby coming at you. I'm going to give you guys the lowdown on temperature. Now, what temperature is a physical property that measures hot and cold. Something usually feels hotter generally has the higher temperature, and vice versa. If it feels cold, it has a lower temperature. If there is no flow between two objects, that means that the objects are at the same temperature. But if there is flow of heat between two objects, that means that whichever one is hotter will be giving its energy to the colder one. It always flows from hot to cold. Temperature can be defined as the average system in each degree of freedom of the particles in a system. It's measured with thermometers. They have digital thermometers and then thermometers that aren't digital, that they don't really use anymore. They don't make them too much anymore. And a lot of people judge temperature by feeling it, but that's not the most accurate way. You should use a temperature if you want to know the accurate temperature. But otherwise, if you don't need to know that, that's good too, if you're just getting a general idea. In most of the world, Celsius is used. It's the most common scale for measuring temperature. Most countries use that as their standard. The entire scientific world uses Kelvin, which is basically just like Celsius, only they changed the scale downward a little bit so that they could measure different ranges of temperatures. Temperature is measurement of how hot or cold something is. So temperature increases as the energy of motion increases. So if the energy of motion decreases, the temperature will go down. As a system receives heat, its temperature will rise, and if it loses heat, its temperature will go down. When two systems are at the same temperature, like I said, there's no movement of energy between them. The energy in each item stays the same. Temperature plays a very important role in almost all fields of science. They use it in physics, geology, chemistry, biology, and many other different things. Some common measurements is water freezes at 273.15 degrees Kelvin, 0 degrees Celsius, and 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I'm going to go to my slideshow over here. It's Temperature, Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin by Derek Melby. Thermometers are used to measure different temperatures. The first thermometers ever made were called thermoscopes. Santorio, same first name and last name, was the first person to actually put a numeric scale on the thermoscope to measure the differences. Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit is the guy who invented the Fahrenheit scale. He was the first to use an alcohol thermometer, which they don't really use anymore. Then later in his life, in 1724, he invented the Fahrenheit scale for measuring temperatures. Anders Celsius invented the Celsius scale. It is also known as the centigrade scale. Anders put this scale together by putting 100 degrees between the freezing point of water and the boiling point of water. Lord William Thomson Kelvin, that's the guy that invented the Kelvin scale in 1848. It can be used to measure extreme temperatures. That's why they changed the scale on the Celsius scale, so that they could get more extreme temperatures that they could measure. Some common temperatures: the boiling point of water is 212 degrees in Fahrenheit. It's 100 degrees in Celsius and about 373 degrees in Kelvin. Freezing water point is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, and 273 degrees Kelvin. And then absolute zero for each scale is negative 460 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 273 degrees Celsius, and 0 degrees Kelvin. Now, to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, which is a very common thing when you live around here, because most countries are using Celsius and we're using Fahrenheit. So if we want to know to judge by someone else's scale, you have to convert it. You can kind of get an idea of what they're talking about. You take this formula to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, and you put Fahrenheit in for X, and then what you get for your answer will be Celsius. Now to convert from Celsius to Kelvin, you put Celsius in for here, and then add 273, and you'll get the Kelvin. Y1 would be the temperature in Celsius, and Y2 would be the temperature in Kelvin. Now, click on this website. It's a website that will do the converting for you automatically. If it comes up here. Now, what you can do is you can type in any temperature you want here, and then you can choose if you want Fahrenheit or Celsius or Kelvin, and then choose what you want to convert it to. And you click convert, and it will automatically convert it for you. If you don't want to work it out by hand, then you can get an idea of what everybody else thinks. There are a lot of different uses for temperature. Temperature is used for more than just knowing how hot or how cold something is. It can also be used to find speed of sound in air using the formula where S equals the speed of sound in air in feet per second, and then T equals temperature in Fahrenheit. You just put them into that formula. And that's the end. Hope you enjoyed.